A cutting wind swept across the dimly lit bus stop, the kind of cold that sank straight into the bones. Cars rushed by without slowing, splashing icy water from the curb. It was nearly midnight when Daniel, a single father in his early 30s, stepped off his late shift bus. His shoes were soaked, his hands trembling, and he kept replaying the day's worries in his head: overdue rent, rising bills, and the babysitter he still needed to pay. But none of that compared to what he was about to see. As he started toward home, he noticed a figure huddled at the far end of the bus shelter. At first, he planned to walk past. People avoided eye contact in neighborhoods like this. But then he heard it, a soft, uneven sound, almost like whimpering. He stopped. A woman sat on the bench, her arms wrapped tightly around a small boy who couldn't have been more than 4. The child was shivering violently, his lips nearly blue. The mother tried to rub warmth into his hands, but she was shaking just as badly. Daniel stepped closer. "Ma'am, are you okay?" His voice was gentle, but she flinched as if startled out of a nightmare. I'm fine," she whispered, though her teeth were chattering. "We're just waiting for the next bus." Daniel glanced at the timetable behind her. "There's no bus coming until morning." The woman's eyes flicked to the schedule, then down to the ground. She didn't argue. The boy let out a tiny cough, sharp, dry, the kind that stabbed Daniel right in the chest. He knew that sound too well. His daughter, Lily, used to cough like that before he could afford her inhaler. He crouched beside them. "What's his name?" "Evan," she said softly. "I'm Sarah." "Sarah, he's freezing." Daniel paused, hesitating. He barely had enough for his own family, and he didn't know this woman, didn't know her story. But looking at that little boy's trembling body, something in him snapped into place: instinct, maybe. Or just the part of him that still hoped people could be kind. Without another word, he pulled off his only winter jacket, thick, worn, and the only thing keeping him warm, and draped it over both of them. Sarah's eyes widened. No, you'll freeze." "I'll manage," he said. "You two need it more." The wind roared again, colder than before. Daniel's breath came out in white clouds, but he stayed kneeling in front of them, shielding them from the gusts with his own body. Sarah clutched the jacket around her son. "Thank you. I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything." For a long moment, they sat in silence, just the wind, the traffic, and the distant hum of a city that didn't care whether they froze or survived. Finally, Daniel asked, "What happened?" Sarah hesitated, then exhaled shakily. "I left," she said. "Tonight. I had to. Evan's father, he wasn't safe to be around anymore. We ran. I thought we could get to my sister's place, but the buses stopped and I don't have money for a taxi." Daniel looked at the boy's tiny hands trembling inside the jacket sleeves. He swallowed hard. "Do you have anywhere else to go?" "Just my sister. She's 2 neighborhoods over. I thought we could walk, but..." She looked at Evan, guilt filling her eyes. Daniel stood quickly and offered his hand. "Come on. You're not walking alone. I'll take you." "You don't know us," she said. "You don't owe us anything." He shook his head. "I'm not leaving a mother and child out in this cold. No one should." She hesitated, then slipped her hand into his. They walked through the dark streets, Daniel keeping the wind-blocking side for them, his arms around both mother and son even though he was shivering uncontrollably. The cold stung like needles, but he forced himself forward step by step. Halfway there, Evan stirred under the jacket and whispered, "Mommy, warm." Sarah nearly broke down at the sound. She looked at Daniel with tear-filled eyes. "You're saving us." He shook his head, teeth chattering. "Just helping." By the time they reached the narrow apartment building where Sarah's sister lived, Daniel could barely feel his fingers. Sarah knocked urgently. A moment later the door flew open, spilling warm air onto the frozen trio. Her sister gasped. "Sarah?" "What?" No explanations came at first. There were just tears, a tight embrace, a child being rushed inside to warmth. Daniel turned to leave, quietly, wanting no attention. But Sarah grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "Please. Let us help you. You're freezing." "I'll be fine," he said, shaking his head. "My kid's waiting for me at home." Sarah stepped closer, her voice thick with emotion. "I'll never forget what you did. You didn't know us, but you still protected my son." Daniel smiled weakly. "Anyone would." "No," she said firmly. "Not anyone. But you did." She pressed his jacket back into his hands, warm now from the heat inside. He hesitated, then slowly slipped it back on, feeling the warmth he had shared now return to him. Before he walked away, Evan peeked from behind the doorway, clutching a blanket around his tiny frame. He lifted a small hand and murmured, "Thank you, mister." Daniel's heart clenched. He waved. "Take care of your mom, okay?" Evan nodded solemnly, as if accepting a sacred mission. Daniel pulled the jacket tight and stepped out into the night. The cold was still merciless, but it felt different now, as if the world had given him back just a little of what he had given away. And as he walked home through the empty streets, he realized something. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, a jacket, a walk, a decision not to look away, could change the trajectory of someone's entire life. And maybe, just maybe, save more than one person in the process.